Hello, everybody. Good morning and good afternoon to all of you on what is actually a sunny Monday here in Columbus, Ohio. I see I've got a lot of familiar faces and names popping up in the chat. It's so great to see all of you. Thank you for tuning in for this special little occasion to kick off the new year. I wanted to take time to do something with all of you to kind of set some creative intentions for the year. So I'm super excited that you're here. And let's see who we've got. We've got Janice from Northern Cali, of course. We've got Bonnie in Oregon. We've got John, who sounds like he's chowing down on a bowl of oatmeal at somewhere in Pasadena, which sounds lovely. We've got Maga from Boston and Jan. We've got Robert, got Tom. Sorry if I mispronounced that. In the Bay Area, which is great. I'm sure it's beautiful there. We have Anne from Germany. Dina, Joyce from New Mexico. We've got Missy in Pittsburgh, so not too far from me. We've got Polly. Let's see, Sparkle Girl from Toronto, and Valerie, who sounds like she's enjoying some coffee and a fire in the wood stove. Valerie, I'll be right over. That sounds amazing. We've got Corinne, and also John and Midori and Robin and Kathleen and Kat and Sarah and Nancy and so many other people checking in, which is fantastic. So thanks again for joining me. So today is really about setting creative intentions for the year 2020. So this will be brief, and I'm actually going to, in a minute here, do an exercise with all of you. We're going to do it together, and then we're going to share it in the schoolyard, share what we come up with, if you want. But I want to start off just by getting you guys kind of in a space to think about reflection. And the point of this is to kind of charge into a brand new year, a brand new month in a brand new year with sort of a vision for yourself. And we're going to look at this as kind of a way to write a letter to our future selves in terms of, setting a creative intention and kind of talking to the you in the future. Now, we did this exercise actually at SketchCon last year, and Kosha also did it with us last year as one of her Draw Tip Tuesdays. And this exercise really stuck with me, and I've actually revisited my creative manifesto from multiple years past. And I think it's a really good exercise for giving you a chance to kind of look ahead, and also a chance for you to sort of sneak a surprise in your sketchbook, so to speak, for the way that we do this here, which I'll explain. So basically, first off, what is a creative manifesto? So this can be a lot of different things to a lot of people, and you can kind of choose your own adventure and sort of define it for yourself. But for me personally, a creative manifesto is really just a way to put an intention on paper and a way to express a goal that you might have for yourself, or an intention, depending on which word you want to use. A goal for your future self that you want to be reminded of, whether that's tomorrow or in a month or 6 months from now or a year from now. This is a way to put down in writing something that you want to have happen. So for all of us here, we are joined here in this community thanks to our creative interests and the creative fires in our bellies. So I think this will take on more of a creative purpose, but you can create a manifesto for yourself for any area of your life. But today, we're going to focus on a creative manifesto. So what do you need to do this exercise? So it's pretty simple. I want you to grab your sketchbook. Now you can grab a sketchbook that you're currently working in. I'm going to use this one that I've been toiling away in because I still have a good chunk of pages left. But you could use a brand new sketchbook. So you could use one that you're going to kick off here soon if you're about to wrap up a sketchbook. So grab a sketchbook. That's important. And then I want you to grab your favorite thing to write with. So for me lately, I have been obsessed with these Tombow brush pens. They're just really basic waterproof black markers. And I love the thick, bold line that they create. So this has been my standard lately. I love writing in it. I love drawing with it. So I'm going to use my Tombow brush pen and my sketchbook. And so I want all of you to gather something to write with that you really feel comfortable using, that kind of helps you let things flow, and then a sketchbook, whether it's your current sketchbook or a new sketchbook that you are about to start. Now, what I want you to do is, for this exercise, we're actually going to pick a page in your sketchbook that is not the next page is not one page away, but we're actually going to pick a page that maybe, I don't know, for me is about 30 pages in. So I'm picking a page towards the end that I won't get to for a little bit, but will be a nice place to come to maybe in the next few weeks. Because there's one thing that I've noticed about New Year's resolutions and kicking off the new year with goals is that in about a month is when we all kind of get a little shaky or fall off the wagon. So for me, I'm picking a page in my sketchbook that I'm going to hit in about a month's time, just based on a rough estimate. You can do this wherever you want. You can pick any page you want. And for safekeeping, you can also take a picture of what we're going to do and print that out and keep it at your desk if you want something that's more visible to you every day. But anyway, sorry, I digress. We're going to pick a page in our sketchbook, and we're actually going to put our creative manifesto on this page so that as we are sticking with our creative habits and doing drawings and making art, we are going to come across this page in a week or a month or a few months, depending on how fast you're filling up a sketchbook. And it might take us by surprise, and it might give us a good little reminder of where we were a month ago and sort of the intention that we set for 2020. And I love the idea of this being kind of random because I think that gives you a chance to be surprised by it and also just kind of have it emerge organically. So you might be about to sit down to draw and you're kind of dragging your feet and not wanting to do it, or you could be doing a drawing that you're not too happy with. And you turn the page and boom, there is the little voice from your past self kind of talking to you in the future. So that's what I like about sort of the randomness of picking a page. So what we're going to do is now that you have your page, hopefully you have a page selected in your sketchbook and you have a pen or something that you want to write with. And also, a side note, you don't have to do this in a sketchbook if you don't have one on you or you are more of a loose paper kind of person. So you could also grab a Post-it note or something handy if you don't want to do this in a sketchbook. Just want to throw that out there. But anyway, now that we have our page, I just want to go over a couple things to think about. And I'm actually going to set a timer for us to do this together. But at first, I just want you to think about the format that this can take. So for different people, sometimes it's overwhelming to think of a big, lofty goal that you want to set for yourself for the year. Sometimes it's a lot easier to pick maybe a word to focus on. So you might pick one word that you want to kind of guide your creative practice this year. Or you could pick one phrase or sort of note to yourself that will help set you up for success when it comes to sticking with your intention. So you could format this as a letter to yourself. You could say, "Dear Morgan," in my case, "this is something I want you to remember, ... You could format this in sort of a series of instructions that you're giving your future self. So you could, write a few steps for yourself for maybe when in doubt or when you're struggling or when you maybe are in a creative rut. So you could kind of treat it like an advice column to yourself, your future self. Or if writing, a longer chunk of text seems intimidating to you or overwhelming, you can pick a word. You can pick that one word or theme that you want to focus on this year or this month just to start off. So you've got a few options, but what I want you to do is really think about what you want to say to yourself, your future self. What is something that you want to say to encourage yourself, to be kind to yourself, and to inspire yourself? So get ready, get your pen and your sketchbook, and I want you to keep in mind that we will have time. We're just going to get the initial thoughts down while I set this timer and work on it myself, but you can revisit this and you can add some fancy lettering, you can add color, you can embellish it in all sorts of ways so that when you stumble upon it, it's a really beautiful page to look at. But for right now, we just want to get the thoughts down on paper. So I am going to set this trusty timer for 3 minutes, which doesn't sound like a long time, but for me personally, I have a hard time sitting still. Sometimes I have a hard time focusing on one thing and kind of quieting my mind. So we're actually going to use this as like a mini mindfulness exercise. So I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes. And for those of you that are watching that want to participate, I encourage you to silence your phone, take out your earbuds unless you're in a public place and you want to still listen to this. But we're going to focus on this for 3 minutes, and I want you to pick up your writing implement, and I want you to put down your creative manifesto on the page that you've chosen. And whether it's a letter to your future self, whether it's a word of advice or wisdom for when you get stuck in a rut, or if it's a theme or an idea that you want to focus on this year, I want you to put it on paper. And then we will debrief after that. So I'm going to hit start on this timer for 3 minutes. You can see it. And we'll have to kind of rest with the quiet, which is something I struggle with. Ask anyone that knows me. So we're going to hit start. And I'm actually going to work on my own creative manifesto. And then once the timer goes off, we will reconvene, so to speak. So I'm going to hit the timer. We are officially a go. Got my pen. And I encourage you to work on this with me. And we are going to get started here. And just so you don't have to stare at my face, I'm going to put up our little screensaver while we're all working on this. And feel free to just let things kind of come into your mind or let things pass. And we're going to work on this. All right, we've got about 30 seconds left, just a heads up. Sorry, you just heard my dog barking in the background, who's really excited about creative goals. All right, that's our timer, which I almost didn't know how to turn off. All right, so for those of you that are still with us, are you guys still there in the comments? Can I see some hands and some thumbs up just to make sure no one fell asleep? We didn't lose anyone during that. Hopefully you're all still with us. So I finished my just the text for my manifesto, and I hope that that gave you a chance to kind of just be mindful and think about this for a few minutes. And this is something that could take a lot longer. You could, after this video, sit down and revisit this writing and drawing for any amount of time that you see fit. But what I want to encourage you to do is to finish this manifesto. So I want you to embellish it, add some really cool lettering, add some color. I know Kosha is doing a Draw Tip Tuesday tomorrow on brush lettering. That'll be pretty fun if you want to jazz it up further. But what I want you to do is I want you to finish this page. So I can show you what I have for mine. This is what I got so far. So I did a big spread because I want to kind of add some more little pieces to this. Um, but for me, I'll just share mine. My creative manifesto is that I will be kind to myself and focus more on weekly goals instead of hard, fast rules about daily drawing. So for me personally, I get kind of stressed out about setting rules about you have to draw every single day. And then if I miss a day, I just get kind of bummed and sort of annoyed with myself. And then it turns into missing 2 days and 3 days. And I've found that if I give myself more of a weekly goal, so I want to do 5 drawings this week, I do a lot better with goals that are kind of set in different increments like that. So for me, I'm going to focus more on weekly goals. So that doesn't mean I'm a total failure if I didn't draw every single day. It just means I'm setting a different kind of goal, and that's what I want to remind myself of. So a month from now, if I reach this page and I'm thinking, I haven't drawn in 2 days, I'm a horrible person, I can be reminded that it's not a big deal. And that if I'm drawing that week, period, that's great. That's a victory. So that's just my example, but I'm hoping that you all came up with some really good ideas for the letters to your future self. And if you're comfortable, we would love for you to share these in the schoolyard. So we will create a topic for that, for creative manifestos. And we want to see what you guys created and what you did if you feel like sharing. And I hope that this kind of greets you with, a little reminder and a little surprise, maybe when you need it most. And for those of you that want to see this more often, maybe on a daily basis, I would encourage you to either take a picture of it and print it out, and you can hang it above your desk. Or if you did it on a loose sheet of paper, tack it up next to your computer or next to wherever you make art. If you have an art table or a studio or a corner of the kitchen where you tend to do a lot of drawing. So just to keep it top of mind and keep it visible so it serves as a good reminder. And I wanted to say thank you to everyone that tuned in today. I know this was kind of a different setup, and it wasn't quite like Danny's amazing draw with me. I wasn't here to draw with you per se, but I was here to be mindful and get everyone kind of started off on the right foot this year. And I'm hoping that you all were kind to yourselves in your letters to your future self, and that these serve you in a month, in 6 months, in a year, and that maybe a year from now we can revisit these and sort of see where we landed. So thanks again for tuning in, and I hope you have an awesome day and an awesome rest of your week.